Mary Whiton Calkins was born in Hartford, Connecticut in 1863, but spent most of her childhood in Buffalo, New York, as the eldest of 5 children. Her mother, Charlotte, a homemaker, and her father, Walcott, a Presbyterian minister, fostered a love of learning and encouraged her early academic interests. The family moved to Newton, Massachusetts in 1881, where Calkins would unknowingly settle for the rest of her life. In 1882, Calkins graduated high school and enrolled at Smith College with an advanced sophomore standing to study philosophy and classics, a rare feat for women at the time. The following year, though, her sister Maud tragically passed away. Undeterred, Calkins continued her studies independently from home while tutoring her brothers, allowing her to graduate from Smith College in the class of 1885. She then travelled through Europe with her family for 18 months, deepening her knowledge of modern Greek and philosophy. After her travels, Calkins' father arranged her an interview at Wellesley College, where she initially worked as a Greek tutor. But her passion for philosophy soon led to her being offered head of that new experimental psychology department, on the condition she took a year off to gain psychological training. In 1890, when women were largely excluded from most graduate programs, Mary was permitted to attend William James's seminars at Harvard and to study privately with Edmund Sanford at Clark University through petitions from her father and Wellesley's president. After successfully being appointed head of experimental psychology in 1891, she continued her psychological training at Harvard under William James and Hugo Munsterberg and established one of the first psychological laboratories in the US at Wellesley with the help of Edmund Sanford. By 1895, Mary had completed all of Harvard's requirements for a PhD, but the university denied the degree simply due to her gender. Radcliffe, Harvard's affiliated women's college, offered her the degree instead, but she declined, insisting her work should be recognized by Harvard, where it was all conducted. Nonetheless, Calkins persevered, teaching experimental psychology at Wellesley and becoming the first female president of the American Psychological Association in 1905. She also gained international recognition as the first female honorary member of the British Psychological Society in 1928. Remaining single and without children, Calkins devoted her life to her work and caring for her aging parents. After retiring from Wellesley in 1929, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer and passed away in February 1930. Calkins' earliest contributions to psychology was her systematic study of dreams using statistical methods. Over 6 to 8 weeks, her and Edmund Sanford recorded detailed accounts of their own dreams immediately after waking and revised them the following morning to connect the content to their waking lives. Through analyzing 375 total dream records, she classified dreams into 2 types: presentation dreams, which contain content influenced by current sensory perceptions, and representation dreams, which feature content drawn from memories of past experiences. Regardless of type, Calkins observed that the dreamer consistently perceives themselves as their current age and in their current life condition. Simultaneously, Calkins critiqued the existing classification of mental associations based on contiguity, the connections between ideas in time or space, and similarity, the connections between ideas with shared features. She argued these categories fail to reflect how associations truly develop, and proposed associations could be better classified as persistent associations, those that consistently endure over time, and desistent associations, those that fade away when the trigger stimulus is removed. This classification framework paved the way for Calkins' later work on memory. Between 1892 and 1894, Calkins conducted 1,200 experiments to explore how frequency, vividness, recency, and primacy affect memory. Her most enduring contribution, however, lies not in these findings, but rather in the method she created to investigate them. This method, now known as the paired associate learning technique, involved presenting participants with pairs of stimuli, such as colors and numbers, in a structured sequence. After the sequence, participants were shown one item from the pair and asked to recall its associated partner. This approach became a cornerstone of memory research, offering a systematic way to study associative learning and memory. Through her work on dreams, associations, and memory, Calkins was inspired to develop her own theory of self-psychology throughout the 1900s. She argued that self-psychology should focus on understanding human behavior by studying the conscious self in relation to its environment, whilst accepting elements from both structuralism and functionalism to create a more comprehensive understanding of consciousness. Calkins described the self as having four defining qualities. First, persistence. The self is continuous over time, allowing us to recognize ourselves as the same person in the past, present, and future. Second, inclusiveness. The self integrates all aspects of experience, like thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, into a unified whole. Third, uniqueness. Each person's self is distinct from another, making every conscious experience personal and unique. And fourth, relationality. The self is shaped by its relationships with the external world, reflecting the interconnected nature of human existence. Calkins' early research on dreams proposed a connection between dream content and waking life, a theory now known as the continuity hypothesis. Though not directly credited, her work laid the foundation for Calvin Hall's development of a standardized dream content scoring inventory in the 1940s. Modern studies continue to build on her ideas, exploring how self-representations, emotions, and experiences shape our dreams. For example, research on amputees reveals our dreams may also reflect our psychological self-image, not just our current physical state, as Calkins suggested. After receiving an amputation, some participants still dreamt about their body intact, while others immediately began dreaming of themselves as an amputee. This highlights how continuity of the self and dreams may be disrupted by significant and sudden physical changes. Calkins' paired associate learning method is considered to be her most significant contribution to modern psychology. This technique has been applied in countless contexts, from early childhood education to clinical settings. For example, a 2018 study showed that paired associate learning performance in kindergarten is positively correlated to reading accuracy in later grades, suggesting associative learning plays a crucial role in developing some reading skills. Similarly, recent clinical research has shown that paired associate learning scores could predict cognitive decline in Alzheimer's patients with high sensitivity, demonstrating its potential value for early detection and diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. As psychology shifted toward behaviorism in the early 20th century, introspective approaches like Calkins' self-psychology were overshadowed. However, her ideas resurfaced with the rise of humanistic psychology in the mid-20th century, which, like Calkins, emphasized the self as dynamic and relational, shaped by personal experiences and interactions with others. While humanistic psychologists later focused on personal growth and self-actualization, their emphasis on individuality and the centrality of the self aligns with Calkins' work on self-awareness and identity. Calkins' impact extends beyond her work to the resilience she demonstrated as a trailblazer for women in psychology. Her work continues to shape our understanding of cognition and self-identity, leaving a lasting legacy that inspires both study of the mind and equality in the field.